Hey everybody, Yori Chisholm here. Thanks for tuning in to the YouTube channel. I've been excited to do some of these live kind of Q&A things. Trying to do once a week. So here we are. It's a Friday morning here in Seattle. And got my second cup of coffee here. And I'm going to answer some of your bagpipe questions. So thanks to everybody who's been emailing in, messaging through various social channels, and also just emailing. So thanks very much. And if you're watching on the replay or if you're watching live, please put into the comments there where you're from, how long you've been piping, and if you have any questions that I can answer for you. I'll do them live here, or if you're watching on the replay, I'll talk about them in my next Q&A. Great. So first question I'm going to talk about is, so I email out my people who join my email list. I email out helpful tips and hopefully some useful information and links once in a while. And one of the things that I ask is, what are your greatest challenges, and get some great responses from that. So this is in response to one of those questions, and it's timing and playing with the metronome. So this is a really, really common issue. So a metronome does one thing, and it does it really, really well, which is it gives you a specific and steady beat that you can play along with. Now, the reason this is such a big deal for musicians, but especially for pipers, is because of the style of music that we play. We have pibroch on one side, but once you get away from pibroch, all of our other types of bagpipe music have a strong beat and a strong steady rhythm is what we're going for, whether it's a marching tune, like a 2/4 or 3/4 march or 6/8, or we get into one of our dance tunes like a Strass Bay reel or jig. All these tunes, you're going to want to have a constant and steady rhythm through the whole tune, whether it's fast or slow. And that's what the metronome does, right? So there's lots of different metronomes out there. In the old days, we had the metal sort of tick-tock pendulum sort of thing. Now there are some apps out there. A few years ago, I created the first metronome app just for pipers. It's called the Piper's Metronome. So check it out at pipersmetronome.com. It's available for Apple and Android, and it's very, very popular. We're getting people signing up every day, many, many thousands of people, and great reviews. So check that out. It's free to try out all the features, almost all the features. And then after you've used it for a while, you'll get a message asking you to pay for the premium version to get a few additional features. So I hope you will check it out. It's called the Piper's Metronome, and you can find it at pipersmetronome.com. So I'll just show you a couple things that I really like about it. So it's got this ring display circle here. So there we go. So what I like about it is it's really easy for your eye to follow that changing color in the ring. And one of the things that we are always working on as pipers is to play on the beat and not ahead of the beat. So you can really see when if you're right on the beat or if you're a little bit ahead. And often pipers are come a little bit ahead with our various embellishments and that sort of thing. Another thing that the Piper's Metronome has is it has a bunch of presets built in to make it really easy to get going. So if you're going to play a 4/4 march, you just hit the button that's the tune type. You go to 4/4 march, and right away it changes to 4 beats per bar. And this, once around this ring, is 1 bar or 1 measure. So if you go to 3/4 march, 1, 2, 3. So just real easy to get started with your time signature based on the type of tune you're playing. It also has rhythm presets. So what that means is that, say you're going to play a 4/4 march. Now this is just doing the simple beat, but maybe we want to do eighth notes. So we go to rhythm and we click 2/8, and it gives us our eighth notes. Maybe we want to work on our dot cut. We hit the dot cut. So there's no other metronome that does that has the bagpipe tune types built in and the rhythmic combinations built in. So if you're in a 4/4, you have the option to do 2/8 notes, a dot cut, 16th notes that are even or 16th notes that are dot cut. If you go to jig, so now let's go to 6/8 jig. So now it gives us 2 beats per bar. If you go to the rhythm button, you only have a couple options there. You have 1/4 or 3/8 notes. So if we go to 3/8 notes, we get that cool triplet sound. There's no dot cuts in jig, so that's not even an option built in here. So check that out. pipersmetronome.com. Check it out for free. And if you like it, sign up for the full version to get some of the other features. You can create custom sets like a pipe band medley, where you can have multiple tunes with different time signatures and different tempos. And that is a really cool feature that pipers love, especially if you're playing in a band and you want to put that whole medley in there. Once you've created a set, you can share it. So an example, the way people use this is a piper in the band will put in the band's medley or the MSR, the different tunes, the number of parts, get all the transitions. You can do custom transitions, put all the tempos in there, save it, and then you can share it with your friends. So what that means is that somebody can create the set once and share it with everyone in the band, and they get the exact set and they can't mess it up. Now, somebody has that set shared with them and they think, oh, it's a little bit fast for me. I'm not quite to that full band tempo. You can slow it down on your app, but that's not going to affect the main copy that's been shared with you, that master copy. Also, what this means is that whoever created that set originally and shared it with everybody, if they make a change, say in the band, you decide, you know what, we're going to take out one of those tunes in our medley. So you take that tune out of your set and you click save. And then instantly, everyone who you shared that set with, the next time they open it, it's going to have the new version. So the changes will automatically propagate through that. So that change, we have a cloud-based service that hosts the information for the app. And that's one of the things that we have to pay for. That's not free. So that's one of the things that you help support when you buy the full paid version of the app. It's very inexpensive compared to if you were to buy a metronome gadget from Amazon or from a music store. And the Piper's metronome has way more features than any of those standalone metronomes. So please support the app. We'd love that. Also some really cool other features in terms of helping with expression for pulsing, if you're talking about 2/4 marches or stress bass or reels. Check out the videos on the YouTube channel about the Piper's metronome. I'll put some links in the description below as well. If you're trying to get started playing with the metronome, I encourage you to start out simple. One of the challenges that I hear from my students is they say, oh my gosh, I hate using the metronome. Oh, it's so hard. Well, it is really hard if you haven't gotten used to using it. And if you're working on a new tune, a challenging tune, that's got lots of technique and different rhythms and a challenging tempo, it's going to be hard to take all that hard stuff and also add playing with a strict metronome timing. So here's what I recommend you do. If you're getting into playing with the metronome for the first time, keep it slow, keep it simple. In fact, you can go all the way to the very basics and go, okay, well, what's the simplest thing I can play? How about the scale? Okay, can I play the scale tapping my foot to a simple, basic beat? Okay, now put that into your metronome. Can you play up and down the scale with your metronome? So you might think, well, okay, I want to try that, but I don't know what speed I would play. Well, the metronome has this, there's the start-stop button is right in the middle. But there's also right below that, there's a tap button. So if you tap that, whatever speed you tap it, it's going to measure that tempo. So if you just say I want to play my scale, bum, 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 just tap that in. About 53, 52. So then you just practice playing along with your metronome at that speed. What you're doing is you're just practicing playing with the metronome, listening for that click sound, watching the circular ring color change, and making little adjustments with your tempo. So with your playing. So what you might find is, oh my gosh, I'm playing a little bit too fast, or I'm falling behind, and you make adjustments accordingly. You may need to fine-tune the speed that's on your metronome, but the idea is that you don't want to have it so fast that you're struggling to keep up. You want to find a moderate tempo where you can really just practice being in time. It'd just be like if you were in a lesson. I said, okay, let's play the scale. Play with me. 1, 2, ready, begin. Bum, 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 bum. So I'd be setting the tempo for you, singing, tapping my foot, clapping, and then you're adjusting your tempo to match with me. And that's what you do with the metronome. So it's a guide. And like I said at the beginning, the metronome does one thing extremely well, which is keep a specific tempo and keep it constant and keep it perfectly in time. So what you'll find is you feel like you're getting ahead, you're getting behind. Well, that's you. It's not the metronome speeding up or slowing down. So once you get comfortable using the metronome, following it, making your tempo adjustments, you can then start to use a metronome with your tunes that you're working on. And what I encourage my students to do is have the kind of the mindset, the growth mindset, which is if it's hard for you to do, if it's really hard to play with the metronome, that means you need it. So the harder it is to play with the metronome for you, the more you need to play with the metronome, because it means you're struggling with keeping a steady tempo or keeping a specific tempo. Maybe you're okay at a slower tempo, but you're not able to keep it steady and controlled at that faster performance tempo. So in addition to being steady, you can get a specific tempo set with your metronome. So say if you're shooting for a specific performance or competition tempo, you can plug that into the app, and you can use the app as a way to chart your progress to getting to that, that desired tempo. Okay. Great. Next question comes from PMC. Okay. I'm struggling with top hand dexterity exercises, especially with the doubling on F, E, and D and Idris, the back half of Krunluas, trying to avoid the dreaded finger freeze. Cool. So what you were talking about here, let's just review that. We got F doubling, E doubling, D doubling, Idris, and then the the back half of the Krunlu, which is the Idri. So we're talking the top hand grace notes, in particular, the E and F grace note. So that's a very common challenge that pipers have. And what it comes from is hands being too tight, right? So for most pipers, most people are, I'd say the majority of people are right-handed. So that means that your left hand, which is your top hand, is going to be the non-dominant hand for most pipers. But even if you are left-handed, you're still going to have some issues there with tightness. And sometimes it gets worse on the bagpipes because you're squeezing. And what can happen is if your pipes are hard, or they're inefficient, or they're not set up right, or your bag is too big, or the blowpipe is too long, or even if everything is set up properly, there's just a lot of, there's some strain that goes into playing. And that tension from your arm, your upper arm and your shoulder and your back that you're using to squeeze the bag can radiate all the way down into your fingertips. There's this idea from the Alexander technique, which is a practice and a study of body mechanics and movement, especially how it applies to music and dance. But one of the things that they talk about in Alexander technique is that the tension in one area of the body can radiate towards other parts of your body. That certainly seems to be the case with piping, where, we're squeezing down really hard on that arm, and then the hand gets tight. So I think that contributes to the problems with the top hand. First thing you want to do is make sure you can do everything to get your hands in the optimal position and your fingers in the optimal position on your chanter. So if you look at your hand, we don't use our little finger on the top hand. So we have thumb, pointer, middle, and ring. The thumb and the ring finger are the shortest fingers that go on the chanter. So we want to put those on the chanter first. So this is really important. And this is going to go a long ways towards helping you be as relaxed as possible on the top hand, which is to make sure your hands are in the optimal position for you. And that position is going to depend on your fingers and your hand and the size of your digits. So here's how we start. Ring finger first. Thumb next. Right, so these are the two shorter fingers on the chanter, and then drop the other two fingers down. So try that again. Ring finger first. Now we don't want to be on the tip, and we don't want to be locked out, but reasonably straight with a little bit of a curve to it. And then the thumb, and then the index and middle finger, straighten them out and drop them down. That's the position for you. Now for me, just because of the lengths of my fingers and the length of my thumb, that's where it ends up. If you have a longer thumb relative to your pointer finger, you may end up here. You may end up more on the first digit. But for me, I can't do that. My thumb's not long enough. I would miss the chanter. But if I tried to be on the fingertips with my shorter thumb, I would have to bend my fingers, and we don't want to do that. So we want to keep our fingers in the most biomechanically friendly possible, biomechanically friendly way possible. And what that means is finding a position where we can have them on with a minimum tension and strain. So try that again. Ring finger, thumb, drop the other two down. Cool. So then the other thing you want to practice is practice playing some basic note transitions and scales, really focusing on the tension in your hands. I find that some people, when they grab their chanter, bang, for whatever reason, they are squeezing way harder than they need to squeeze. You want to keep your hands very relaxed, so you can just, fingers are on the holes, but not adding any additional tension. So just play some real basic note transitions. Then add in some, maybe just those same sorts of note transitions with G grace notes. What you want to be paying attention to is your form. And good form means keeping the hands as relaxed as possible and keeping them in nice and close to the chanter. So avoiding the squeeze and avoiding lifting the fingers too high. The higher you lift your fingers, the more chaotic your playing becomes and the sloppier it is. And the tighter you are, the more you're inhibiting your fingers from moving quickly and cleanly, which can make it really hard to play all the tunes that you want to play, your dot cut tunes and your fast tunes like jigs. So keeping those hands relaxed and keeping them in close is the key. Okay, so now let's take a look at some doublings. So let's just, again, bottom hand to some of our top hand doublings. So the exact notes and doublings and exercises that you play here are up to you. I've got some great exercises on my YouTube channel. If you go and check out the dot cut fluidity exercise, there's a power GDEs exercise, and I think stress bay triplets. So I'll be adding more exercises to the channel. Also, if you join my bagpipelessons.com inner circle, you get access to weekly live Zoom classes that I do for members. And also you get access to a lesson library that has literally hundreds of tunes, exercises, videos, product demonstrations, online courses, everything at the studio. So check at the inner circle. Check it out at bagpipelessons.com/membership, and tons of exercises there. But whether you're using exercises from my inner circle, or you've got books, or you got some photocopies from your instructor, you're just making them up, you're keeping your eye on the prize, your North Star metric, your key performance indicator, your highest order goal that you're working towards is keeping your hands relaxed. That's the number one. Just think about soft hands. Soft, relaxed hands. And if you feel, oh gosh, I feel like my chanter's going to get away from me, or I feel like I need to squeeze to cover the holes, or I feel that if I don't put a lot of muscle into it, I'm not getting those grace notes aren't coming out crisp. That is all stuff you need to work on. It is totally possible to play clean and controlled and fast with consistency and play difficult stuff with your hands relaxed. In fact, it's required that you play with your hands relaxed. If you look at any top player, anybody who can play well, play fast tunes, dot cut tunes at speed with consistency and control, their hands are relaxed. Otherwise, you're fighting against yourself. You're putting in a lot of extra tension, which slows you down, messes up your timing. That's where crossing noises come from. That's where missed doublings come from. Playing the bagpipe is a finesse thing. It does not require brute strength. So anyone that tells you, oh, you need to really lift your fingers off the chanter, or you really need to squeeze hard to get that control and that clarity, that's wrong. I would love to I love speaking to people like that and talking about this, because it's really, really an important topic. So that's what you need to do when it comes to Idris. I have a video on the YouTube channel all about Krunluas and Krunlua mocks. Check that out. It's a very detailed breakdown, multiple ways to play the Krunlua and the Krunlua mock. And might be more information than you want, but it's really, really a detailed look at it. And that's going to help you keep that top hand relaxed and controlled. So that's what you need. When you talk to a beginning piper and they play something and then you ask them to evaluate their own playing, they'll usually do a really good job of saying, well, I missed that and I got that and I played that wrong and I played this right. That's fine, but that's a very beginnerish level of evaluation, and that's totally fine. But what you want to do is you want to start thinking about the next level. You want to get beyond not just did I get it in or did I miss it? You want to be thinking about how are you getting it in? And that's what's really going to take your playing to the next level, which is, okay, I got the E doubling in, or I got the Idri in. Well, how was it? How was the speed of the Idri or the E doubling? What was the size of the grace notes? What was the separation there? And in order to get to that level of detail, you have to be playing with good form. You have to keep your hands relaxed. So what I would encourage you to do when you're practicing is focus on keeping the hands relaxed. If you're not used to doing it, it's going to be hard. You may think that your technique is actually getting worse. That's good. That actually means that you're doing it right. It means you're actually making a meaningful change if your technique gets worse before it gets better. And that's totally expected. It's totally expected that when you change something as fundamental as your hand position on the chanter, going for that optimum position, or how much you're squeezing, and how much you're keeping your hands relaxed, you would expect that the execution consistency would get worse before it gets better. But stick with it. It's not going to take very long before the consistency and the speed and the quality are going to improve. So stick with it. It's really worth it. Okay, I think we'll do one more question and then we will wrap it up for today and let you get on with your day, whatever you have going on. Or if you feel like doing more piping, you can check out some other videos here on the bagpipelessons.com YouTube channel. So, okay, last question. My challenge is tuning the drones to the chanter. I have some hearing loss not related to piping, And when I believe my drones are tuned, they are not. Is there a method that works better than using a tuner? Great question. Well, there's not a better method that works better than using the tuner, because the tuner is, well, it's an amazing tool. And what it allows you to do is get your pipes. Let me grab my tuner here. There we go. So what the tuner does is it does a couple things. The tuner, and what I'm talking about is the Braw Bagpipe Tuner app. There are other tuner apps, but the Braw Bagpipe Tuner app is my favorite one and the best one. And that works in conjunction with my microphone, the InTune mic. Boom. Along with the tone protector, my most popular and successful product. So what the InTune mic allows you to do is clip this right on your drone or on your chanter, and it allows you to isolate the sound of that component of your pipes and get it tuned. It connects wirelessly with your phone. So that's why this is such a big deal for pipers. There are all these great tuner apps that have been around for a while, but the problem is that it's just a practical physical consideration, which is if you have your tuner sitting out in front of you, it's not going to work because you have 4 sounds coming off your pipes, the chanter and 3 drones. And the only way that the tuner knows what it's listening to is if it can isolate one sound. So what that would mean is having the microphone that's built into the phone here right next to the chanter, which is easier to do. You can put it on a desk or something. But then to tune your drones, you have to get the microphone of the tuner right up on the top of your drone. And that's hard because you can't play your pipes and hold the tuner up there. So you need to have help from a friend. And you can't see it. So it's sort of a practical problem where the microphone of the tuner and the display of the tuner are in a place where you can't reach and you can't see. So that's how the InTune mic works, is that it allows you to have your phone wherever you want. You can mount it to your blowpipe with my Piper's Advantage Bagpipe phone mount. It's a great way to do it. And you can mount your phone right on your blowpipe. You can see it. And then you have your InTune mic clipped on wherever you want to tune. So clipped onto the chanter if you want to tune the chanter, and then you can clip it on each drone. And when it's right next to the top of the drone, it only hears that drone, and it works really, really well. And people are super happy. The reason it works so well is that you don't have to have an ear. You don't have to do any guesswork. It works even in a really noisy environment because it's with the InTune mic, it gets the microphone right up next to the top of the drone, so it only hears that drone. Imagine if you had your ear right up to the top of your drone, you can't hear anything else. So pipers have tuned their pipes by ear for generations, and it does work. It's just a very difficult skill and can take a lifetime to master. And even if you're really, really good at it, it can be impossible in certain scenarios when there's a lot of other noise going around. With my InTune mic and the Braw tuner, you can actually tune your pipes at band practice when you're standing in the circle with a bunch of other pipers around, something you can never do. I don't care how much of a world champion you are and how good of your ear. It's very hard to hear because that signal to noise ratio, your ears are here, your chanter's here, your drones are up here. So what you need to do is use that InTune mic and it isolates that sound. So getting a comment from P Set, which says, I love my InTune mic. Thank you. I love that you love your InTune mic. Here's what I want to say to pipers. If you really want to be able to tune your pipes by ear, that is a great goal. I can do that. The Braw Bagpipe Tuner and the InTune mic make it a lot faster, but I can still tune my pipes by ear. The best way to learn to tune your pipes by ear is to tune your pipes with a tuner. That's how you will learn. Because what the InTune mic and the Braw tuner will allow you to do is get your pipes in tune quickly with precision and really get them in tune. And you will learn what that tuning process looks like. And you will learn what InTune bagpipes sound like. And that will help you. So the mic and the tuner together will do the job, but they will also help train you to be able to do the job on your own. That is just what the metronome does also. The Piper's metronome will help you play steady, and it will help you play at a specific tempo, and it will help you play with precision so your embellishments come right on the beat where they're supposed to. So when you pay attention to the metronome, it will help you do all those things. It also helps you develop your internal sense of timing so that all those things will get better without the metronome. So after practicing with the metronome and working on those skills, then you'll be able to play specific tempos. You'll be able to control your tempo and play steady, and you'll be able to play your embellishments right on the beat where you want them to be without the metronome. So it helps you immediately when you use it, and it also helps you get better without it. The bagpipe gauge is also one of these tools. So what the bagpipe gauge does is you hook it up, and you hook it up to your pipes, and it shows you what your pressure is. So it shows you a number, exactly what number your pipes are at in terms of pressure. So you can go, okay, well, I'm at 30. My pipes are good. Or I'm at 35. Wow, my pipes are a little bit harder than they should be. I can see maybe there's something I can do to ease up my pipes. And you'll see that the little pressure fluctuations that are happening, and you'll be able to improve instantly. When I hook up the bagpipe gauge to a piper for the first time, their blowing steadiness instantly improves when you can see that, oh my gosh, I'm overblowing on the high A. I need to stop doing that. Or when I take a breath and I'm not blowing into the bag, my pressure drops. I need to make sure I'm maintaining stronger pressure with my arm. So it instantly gets better. But then the goal is, after practicing and working on those things and working on those little fluctuations and those little bits of unsteadiness, that then you get steadier without the gauge. So the goal is not to be marching around with the tuner and the metronome and the gauge all hooked up to your pipes as the end goal. But each one of those things will help you immediately in the short term as a tool, but then it also is a training device and helps you get better over time. So way before I had the iPhone and the Braw tuner and the InTune mic, I was experimenting with other tuner apps, and it really helped me develop my ear. One of the things that someone who has great instruction from the beginning of their musical career, or they are exposed to really good musical playing that's very well tuned, those people have a better musical ear. So if you're around really, really well-tuned bagpipes and you listen to recordings and you're taking that all in, that develops your tuning sensibility, and that allows you to be better when it comes to tuning your own bagpipes. Just think of that. If you grew up in a household where there was a world champion bagpiper, or your friend or neighbor, or you were just around that all the time, you would have in your ear, in your mind, a sense of what that's supposed to sound like, not only with the playing and the technique, but the tone and the tuning. So that's going to help you when it comes to tuning your own pipes. You know what you're striving for. And that is what using a tuning device like my InTune mic with your Braw tuner, that is going to help you experience that coming out of your own instrument. It's going to help you get your pipes really locked in tune. And you might feel for the first time when you get them in tune, wow, gosh, now my pipes are really in tune. Now I know what that feels like. Now I know what that sounds like. Now you have that sense in your ear of what you're striving to, and that will help you when it comes to tune without it. Because what may be happening if you're trying to get your pipes in tune and you think, okay, I think they're in tune, they're pretty good. And then you maybe record yourself and you listen back and you hear that wah-wah sound of the drone. It's like, gosh, they sounded in tune when I was playing, but with a little bit of distance and listening on the recording, it's very clear that they're not in tune. So what the InTune mic and the Braw tuner is going to allow you to do is get those really, really in tune. Well, here's a challenge you can do. Tune your pipes by ear. Tune your drones by ear. Do the best you can. Be like, okay, I think they're in tune. Maybe make a little audio recording. Then get your InTune mic and your Braw tuner out and check. And you might go, oh, I got my two tenors. They're spot on. But my bass, because it's an octave lower, it's further away from my ear, having a little bit of challenge with the bass. A lot of pipers have trouble with the bass. So then you can learn over time, gosh, you know what? I think it's in tune here, but I need to bring it down a little bit more, and then it's really in tune. And you can discover that by using the InTune mic. So check that out. With all three of these things, they are not a crutch. People say, is this a crutch? Meaning, is this a negative thing, which is like training wheels, which is helping me in the short term, but is hindering my long-term progress and learning and development? No, it's the opposite. It is a learning tool. It will accelerate your learning and progress and development, whether it's the metronome, helping you develop your own internal sense of timing, whether it's the bagpipe gauge, helping you become steadier by discovering where you're unsteady, allowing you to focus visually on what you're doing, or it's the InTune mic and the Braw tuner, which is helping you get your pipes in tune and also helping you improve your sense of tuning and helping you discover the little things that you're doing when you're tuning by ear that can be improved. Cool. Okay. Last question. Somebody says, do you have any tips for getting your name out there as a solo piper for gigs and life events? Well, you just have to do a really good job. And it's a sort of a bigger topic of marketing. The first thing I would do is make sure you do a really good job so that any performances you do are great. You know, if you want to make sure that any performance you do out in public, if that was videoed and if that was put on TV and if that was put on YouTube and everybody got to look at it, that you did a good job, meaning you look sharp, your pipes sound good, and you play well. Not saying everybody has to be a world champion level, but for whatever level you're at, if you're playing simple tunes at a graveside service or for a community event, that you are solid. And one thing that some pipers do, most of us are very mindful and respectful of the situations that we get to play in. But there are some pipers who are not, and they get in over their head, and they don't do a good job, and they make pipers look bad, and they embarrass themselves. So you want to make sure that you are ready, that you are prepared with your tunes, prepared with your tuning and your preparation and your technique, and that you look sharp. That's what I would recommend. Okay. Well, that's a great topic. Maybe we can talk about that another time, like sort of, developing your performance career. Besides practice, any tips on learning the Burl? Yes, the Burl is a specific technique that there are multiple ways of playing the Burl, unlike most other pieces of bagpipe technique. I play the 7 Burl. Most top players play the 7 Burl because it's the most reliable Burl for playing Burls from every note on the scale. Some of the other Burls are easier to learn initially, but they don't sound as good and they're less consistent and they don't work from some of the cool notes where the cool tunes have Burls from these lower notes, B and C and that sort of thing. Check out my Bagpipe Essentials Masterclass. So this is bagpipelessons.com/masterclass. This is one of the coolest things I've ever done at bagpipelessons.com. It's 31 high quality, detailed videos on every single piece of bagpipe technique, from the scale to grace notes, GDEs, crossing noises, takums, all of our 9 doublings, D throws, burls, torluas, grips. And why I'm so excited about it and I'm proud of it is every one of these videos is super detailed and will tell you everything that you need to know to play those embellishments correctly. So if you're interested in taking your techniques to the next level, if you already have some experience, but you want to really get dialed in with your technique, or if you're just starting out and you want to get started on the right path, check out my Bagpipe Essentials Masterclass. You will love it. There's so much good material there. And, there's only 9 doublings and 4 low G based movements. So we really have to master those 13. And that's going to cover almost everything that you have in your bagpipe tunes in terms of technique. And what I find when I'm teaching, I'm doing workshops and I'm traveling, that people have all sorts of challenging, people have all sorts of technical challenges. And a lot of times it's just getting that little piece of information that unlocks all that effort that you're putting into your practice to make it much more consistent and effortless. So I've been playing the pipes for over 30 years. This is the 25th year of bagpipelessons.com. And my mission is to help anyone, anywhere in the world, regardless of your age or previous experience, fulfill your dream to become a piper. So check out my masterclass. The masterclass is completely free for members of my inner circle. So if you're thinking, wow, I'd like to do some of these group classes with Yori on the inner circle, check out my inner circle. All my online courses are included in the inner circle at no cost. So bagpipelessons.com/membership for the inner circle. And if you're here on the YouTube channel, click subscribe, click the bell icon to get notified. That helps. That'll make sure that you get an email every time I go live or I post a new video on the channel. It also helps YouTube know that you like my videos and will help them promote my videos to other pipers. My bagpipelessons.com precision tuning toolkit came out a couple weeks ago and selling tons of those. So check out the toolkit to solve all of your pipe chanter reed and tuning issues, whether your reed's too hard, too easy, or the right strength, but just not vibrating fully. That's at bagpipelessons.com/toolkit. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I think we'll wrap it up there. I'll let you get on with your day. And I wish you all the best. We'll see you next time. And happy piping. Mahalo.